Hey everyone, Mario again, coming at you with another video. As you can tell from up there, it's another episode in Streak-A-Thon. Sorry for the couple week lull, life got in the way and wasn't able to sit down and watch any of the videos, which hopefully that doesn't become a recurring thing, because now we're going to be getting into the matches that are going to be a bit longer, so it's going to take a little bit more time and effort to get them out, especially since I actually want to take notes during the match, but hopefully I'll be able at least to be able to get through 2 matches a week and then record a couple in advance in case I get a week or two where I'm not able to do one, then I can skip one. And also, as you can tell from other videos, I'm also starting the WCW thing, but I'm thinking of not continuing that until I finish this first, even though I already got the notes for the pay-per-view started, but maybe I'll finish doing that and then do the next Streak-A-Thon one and then not upload that one until I'm done with the streak. I'm going to play it by ear. We come to the 6th match in the streak at WrestleMania 13 in Taker's first main event match. Not a bad match for Taker to start his main event run at Mania with, but not the best one either. It's a meh going. Could be worse, could be better. His opponent, of course, is Sycho Sid, also known as Sid Vicious and Sid Justice. But here he's psychotic. Ooh. And of course, his theme song is kind of derivative of the Psycho theme. Meaning, it's that string, like, the master and ruler of the universe. Now, this Mania 13, had a .77 buy rate, and at this time, it was the only Mania not to be a sellout. Now, I gotta actually look to my computer screen to get this number accurately. It had a total attendance of 18,197, but only 16,467 of those were paid, so they did get about 2,000, give or take, comped, because, it's not exact math, but more or less, when you do the rounding. Which, I don't have the figures for the other Manias, but, it shows kind of how the business was. I mean, this was right about the time the business was going to start picking up again, but it hadn't. It was the following year where business would start to pick up for a couple years, when we're fully into the Attitude Era. Because Austin 316 says, I just whipped your ass. Speaking of Austin, this is the pay-per-view, of course, where he turned from heel to face, the infamous double turn with Bret Hart, which kind of plays a little bit into this match, because Hart does come out a couple times, and this is directly after his heel turn, so they're really cementing it with his actions here. But, not get ahead of ourselves. On commentary, we have 4 people. I know, with how the commentary team is now, it's like, really, we had to have 4, but it was normally a 3-man booth for this event. It was Jerry King Lawler, good old J.R. Jim Ross, and Vincent Kennedy McMahon, and they are joined on commentary by the man who lost his smile himself, Shawn Michaels. And a couple times throughout this match, they do kind of poke fun at the fact that he lost his smile, which of course is why this match is this way in the first place. As most wrestling fans know, the rumor is that the original plan for the main event for Mania was to be a rematch from WrestleMania 12, with Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels wrestling for the WWE title, and Shawn putting Bret over, according to the rumor and innuendo, as Bruce Pritchard would like to put it. Shawn did the whole thing with his knee in order to get out of it. Of course, if you watch a more recent thing where Bret and Shawn talked about it, Shawn says, the doctor I saw told me I can't wrestle on this knee. So he's a guy that looks at knees. And the whole thing about getting in the rings and all that, it's like, that's not wrestling, that's doing something, which, yeah, I can see. I mean, it kind of does call into question a little bit of what the doctor said when you're doing stuff like that, but, just fooling around like that is a little different than actually going out there and competing on a knee that is supposed to be injured. And plus, another doctor later told him, no, he jumped the gun a little bit, you're fine. Now, outside of the Bret Hart-Austin match, this is considered to be one of the worst WrestleManias ever. And I didn't watch the rest of the card, but with most of the sub-card, and then, of course, this is the main event, I can kind of see why. Because this main event, other than a few moments, kind of forgettable. I mean, for what it was a decent match, but it's definitely one of those matches that's probably funner to watch in person than on TV. And a lot of the times, I was actually just loosely paying attention to it. I mean, I was listening to it, so I knew what was going on, but then I glossed over, like, okay, still going. It was mostly just a big man match. If you've seen Taker and Sycho Sid have matches with big men before, you can kind of imagine what this was from an in-ring spectacle. But this was more about furthering storylines than it was giving an in-ring masterpiece. And with that, I think it succeeded, because it does tie into stuff later on, which I'll get to. Now, before the match begins, Sid is in the back, and he delivers a very weird promo. It's like, I don't know what to say about it other than weird. The two come out. Taker does get a decent ovation. Sid, his seems to get a meh reaction from the crowd. I mean, I saw some boos. Some people don't like that. But, you know, definitely shows he probably wasn't the best heel champion to have at this time. Especially going against Taker. You probably needed a better heel against him. But he got the job done okay. And one thing that's interesting to note is that on commentary, when they're coming out, Michaels predicts Taker is going to win the match. I wonder if he got that little comment approved, or if he just decided to ad-lib it. If he did, I bet Vince is thinking, God damn it, Sean! Or maybe he's like, oh, good ad-lib. Hard to tell sometimes with Vince because his moods are weird. Now, before the match officially begins, Bret Hart comes out and berates both contestants. He tells Taker for what he did to him, that their friendship is over. And he looks at Sycho Sid and calls him a fraud, which a lot of people who watched Sid's career, mostly his WWE one, would say, yep, that kind of sums up his World Championship runs in general. Then Sid has enough of this, and he powerbombs him. And I can just imagine him going, fraud that, or is that a fraud? And of course, before we called out the competitors, Bret called out Sean for his injury. You know, saying that it's a fake injury. You know, you lost your smile and all that jazz. And if you know anything about the rivalry between the two at the time, you can tell there's a lot of shooting going on in this promo. And of course, on commentary, Sean acts like it doesn't bother him. He's like, oh, those are just Bret being Bret. That's not how he puts it, but you can tell that's what he's saying. Now, once the match gets underway, there's not really much of note that happens until the ending of the match, that is. At one point, Sid does hit a leg drop on Taker and gets a 2 count. I thought that was interesting to note, considering Sid's relationship with Hogan earlier in his first WWE run. And of course, the fact that he'd be going to WCW after this. And of course, that's where Sid cut his most infamous promo. I'm half as smart as you, or however he said it. Everyone knows about that promo. And then, of course, the infamous thing where Johnny Ace told him to expand his aerial repertoire. While we're on Sid, I like this one comment that Lawler said about him. And it's, and I quote, if he's got a mind. That line just stood out to me. That's classic Lawler as a heel on commentary. And I thought it really played into the whole master and what do you call him? Master and ruler of the universe, of the world, or however Sid called himself. It played into that, and also his promo style, and, you know, connected with the comment that Sid infamously said later. It's like, yeah, you wonder with stuff like that if he's got a mind, but hey, if you're ad-libbing on the fly, not everything's going to be gold. Near the end of the match, Lawler also points out that both men seem reluctant to use their finishers, and that maybe they're afraid that the other might kick out of it, and it's at this point Taker signals for his own finisher. Now, he goes for a tombstone, but Sid reverses it and tombstones Taker, and Taker kicks out of it, which of course makes sense. It's his own finishing maneuver. He should be able to kick out of his own finisher. In frustration, Sid throws Taker to the outside of the ring, and as they're getting a little tussle outside, Bret comes out and hits Sid in the back with a chair, which, this is where I'm going to have to note this is no disqualification. This is the only time in the match where this really comes into play. Now, he's eventually chased off, and the referees and Pat Patterson take him to the back. The two end up in the ring again, and Sid gets a chokeslam for his troubles. He kicks out, and then again in another little tussle, Bret comes back again, distracts Sid, and Sid walks into a tombstone. 1, 2, 3. Taker is the new WWE champion. His second run, his first lengthy run, and his first main event victory at WrestleMania. Now, I know it's his second, actually technically his third big man match in a row, but it's just the way it was configured. It meant a lot more to me, and it was a little bit more entertaining than the previous two matches. Now, his match with Diesel has that sentimental value, and that was Diesel's last major match before he jumped ship. And King Kong Bundy, you know, basically his last hurrah. Guess you could say the same thing with Snuka, but then again, there's that added thing there with him. But this is definitely Taker's first big Mania victory. I guess you could say his first two were because he beat big stars from the past, but this is his first major one because it's his first title victory at Mania. And as I just said, it was his first lengthy run because he had won the title at the end of his first year by defeating the Hulkster, but that title reign only lasted about a week, and it was only done to further the storyline that was going on at the time and eventually lead to the 1992 Royal Rumble, which of course led to one of Flair's best promos. With a tear in my eye, this is the greatest moment of my life. Woo! other than that, his first world title reign was basically just a footnote. This was his first lengthy run, as I said a couple times already. And of course, it led into his next Mania match. His first reign ended when Shawn Michaels cost him the title inadvertently, which this eventually led to the first Hell in a Cell match, which led to the debut of Kane, which of course led to the next Mania match, Taker versus Kane, in the beginning of a long off and on rivalry / alliance. It's weird, Undertaker and Kane. Then again, sometimes things with brothers in real life could be weird. You hate each other, you love each other. Hate each other, you love each other. In that respect, I guess you could say they captured the sibling notion with the two perfectly. Another little funny thing to mention is that when Bret Hart ran out for the last time, Michaels did a little jab about Bret. Doesn't he ever get tired of getting beat up? Which I got a little chuckle out of. Was like, some more shooting. Bang, bang. In conclusion, this was a decent Mania match. Not one of the best, not one of the worst, just decent. I think it kind of does get a worse rap considering what pay-per-view it was on. If this was on a better Mania, it probably wouldn't, be as meh. But that kind of sums it up. It is a middle-of-the-road match. The best thing to say about it is that Taker did get a big victory by becoming world champion. That's the best thing to say about this match. And that it did further some storylines along. That's about it. Now, of course, as I've already mentioned, next we got brother versus brother.